Hello, everyone. We are so excited to get started tonight with our elementary spotlight using Book Creator in K-4 classrooms. We'll get started right at the top of the hour in just about one more minute. So if you're joining us live today, go ahead and find that question box in the Go To Webinar panel and go ahead and say hello, where you're from, and I'll start with some shout outs as we get ready to dive in. Welcome, Donna. Welcome, Samantri from Sydney, Tara from Texas, Tanya from Indiana, Nicole, Kathy, lots of folks joining us today. Welcome, Sydney and Whitney and Donna. We have people joining us from Utah and Virginia and California. Fantastic. So I am so excited to be here with you all today for Elementary Spotlight using Book Creator in K-4 classrooms. My name is Monica Burns. I'm a Book Creator Ambassador and so excited to join you today. If you are joining us live for this webinar, you'll see the Go To Webinar control panel box on the right-hand side of your screen. If it disappears, just click on that little orange arrow and it'll pop back up for you. Now, I am playing double duty today, hosting and facilitating the webinar. So you will see my slide deck fill up most of your screen with my extra slides on the left-hand side as I toggle through some activities and some things for us to work on today. So if you are joining us live, go ahead and find that question box on the right-hand side of your screen. Type a quick hello and where you're from. We'll give a few more shout outs before we get started. Welcome Susan from Virginia, Peggy from Phoenix, Rose from Indiana. Welcome Jen from California. We have folks from all over joining us live today. This session will be recorded as well, so if you have to pause or take care of anything, don't worry, we're going to email you the link to this recording, and if you're watching the recorded version of the webinar, you're in the right place too. So before we get started, I'm going to send out a couple polls before we jump in. We're going to be talking about Book Creator on Chrome and Book Creator on iPads and all sorts of elementary activities for your classroom and the classrooms you support. So I just pushed out a poll for you. Have you used Book Creator on Chrome before? Go ahead and choose one of the following, and I can see our votes coming in. It looks like most of us have voted and our poll results are in, and about half of you have used Book Creator before, and a quarter of you have only used it on iPad. So about half used Book Creator on Chrome, a quarter only on iPads, and about a quarter have never used Book Creator before. Well, we're excited to have all of you here today, and we're focusing in on elementary today, but I want to see and get a feel for what grade levels you teach and support. So you can click more than one of these to give your responses. I know some folks are in roles where they service K-12 and beyond. As we come in right now, it looks like about 88% of you service K2, 86% of you service 3-5, and then we have about 35% work with 6-8 and 21% with 9-12. So we'll be focused in today on that K4 grade band. So it's great to have so many folks represented. And many of you who are in an elementary classroom may teach more than one subject area. So go ahead right now and click what subject areas you do teach. If you have a role that doesn't fit into one of those boxes, you can use the question box on our screen to talk or share your role. Maybe you're a media specialist, maybe you are an tech integration specialist for your school or district. It looks like most of our votes have come in as well. So it looks like about half of us work with English language arts and math, a little bit less with science and social studies. And then checking in the question box there, I see you've got some librarians, some instructional coaches, some K-5 STEM teachers here. So a nice range of folks with us today. And our last question is, how familiar are you with Book Creator? So maybe you're a pro, you've used it a few times, or you're totally brand new, whether you've used it on Chrome or iPads. I'd love to get a feel for where you're at. It looks like most of our votes have come in, and about 2/3 of you have used it a few times. A few of you are brand new, and a few of you are pros at Book Creator. Well, I am just so pumped to have you all here with us today. So we are going to jump in to talk about this elementary spotlight of using Book Creator in K-4 classrooms. My name is Monica Burns. I'm a Book Creator ambassador. I'm a former New York City public school teacher, and I'm joining you from South Carolina today on one of the many places where I bounce around and work with teachers in different parts of the country and lots of other spots, sharing amazing tools and resources for using tech in the classroom. Shared Book Creator today with teachers. So excited to be joining you live on this webinar. Now, this webinar is part of the summer webinar series that I'm hosting for Book Creator. You can go to bookcreator.com/webinars. You might have been there already to sign up for this one. We have a few more in the pipeline. The next 3 are using Book Creator for reading responses, real-time collaboration with Book Creator on Chrome, digital storytelling with Book Creator will be later in July, so we're covering lots of fun topics. Now, as I go through giving a quick overview of Book Creator and jumping into some elementary activities with you today, I encourage you to open up another web browser on your computer or have your iPad by your side. We'll be talking more about Book Creator on Chrome today as our focus, but whatever is nearby, and have Book Creator opened up in that other window. It's app.bookcreator.com, and I'll remind you of that as we're moving through, because there'll be a few times where I pause and ask you to try something out so that you can see it in action. So let's jump in. I know we've got folks who are together with us today who've used Book Creator before and some who are totally brand new. So Book Creator is an open-ended creation too. There's no levels to win. There's no points to earn. It is your blank canvas for students to create a fantastic ebook. Students can create and publish their books, publishing in lots of different ways, and the experience is totally customizable. This makes it so that you can really create something special and connected to your learning goals. So what can you make with Book Creator? Well, you can make so many different things. You can create digital portfolios with your class, poetry books, step-by-step guides, science reports, learning journals, comics, you name it. It's really all about where your and your students' imagination take you with this open-ended creation tool. So teachers are using Book Creators Book Creator for lots of reasons in their classrooms. Everything from publishing student work to having students demonstrate their understanding across the content areas, to promote collaboration as students log in from different computers or sit side by side, to set a purpose for learning, and to create for an authentic audience. So students are making books that they are sharing with the world. Now, there are few things to just quickly cover for those of you who are new to Book Creator or haven't used it recently or on Chrome. When you log into Book Creator on Chrome, you have the option to make different shapes for your book layout. On every page, you can do a few different things. You can import and add images or video. You can or search for images as well. You can snap pictures with the camera tool. You can draw with the pen tool to add illustrations. You can add text to the screen and record your voice to every page. So here we go, right? Searching for pictures using Google image search, adding those pictures to the page, using a pen tool to draw, using the text tool to add text, changing the color of the page in the background, recording your voice so you can add that, as well as adding shapes to your page. If you are not super familiar with these features, we have a special Getting Started with Book Creator webinar that goes over all those pieces in more detail, but that's the quick overview before we jump in together today. So teachers are using Book Creator because there's the option for interactive pages, the combination of different types of media, there's accessibility support, and you can make a really wonderful shareable product to show off learning in classrooms. So as we talk about elementary specifically today, there's a few areas that we're going to linger on. We're going to start off by talking about the importance of leveraging student voice by giving kids the opportunity to respond in multiple ways to something they've read, some science and social studies activities, and how you can use the comics and shape tool with your students as well. So as we dive into these activities together and I take a peek at your question boxes to see if any questions have come through so far, go ahead in that question box and answer the question, what have your students created this school year? What are some things your students have created this school year on any device? It could be hands-on, glitter and glue, it could be digital. Use that question box to add a few things your students have created this school year. Awesome. So I see some folks have had students create poetry or getting some ideas for things they want to do, some kindness comics, vocabulary books, drawings, some digital stories, telling, some Google slide presentations, some special challenges, reading journals, so many things coming through. I did see a question about Book Creator and the free versus paid version. We're going to finish off today talking a little bit about what those options are, but everything we're going to do today you can do in the free version of Book Creator, just a matter of how much you want to use it and how many books you want to create too. So keep those student creation ideas coming into the question box, and of course as I'm talking and going through some activities, you are welcome and encouraged to use that question box to put in some questions that you have. So to start off with our elementary spotlight today, what is super special about using Book Creator in K-4 classrooms is the ability to peek and see student work all day, every day, whenever you are using Book Creator. Now, this is a little bit different than what you will see on an iPad. This is something special about Book Creator on Chrome. When you log into Book Creator as a teacher, you're able to create libraries and invite your students to join. So students can join your library, share their work in your library, and you can review student progress and give feedback in real time. So instead of peeking over someone's shoulder as they're typing on their screen or waiting till the very end of a project to see what students have created, you're able to watch in real time as students are creating their ebooks. In the elementary classroom, this can be super helpful because you are able to keep everyone's work in one place, peek to see what they have done, and give that support and feedback as you notice something going on. So to create a teacher shared library, when you log in to Book Creator with your teacher account, you might use a Google hosted account to get in. You can get into Book Creator, create a library, and invite other folks to join. So you see here as I zoom in a little bit to that screenshot, I have my books. I have 2 libraries that I can invite people to join into, and I have even joined other people's libraries. So I can create a new library, hit the 3 dots to get my special code, and students are able to join in. Now, I am out of the classroom now, working in other people's classrooms as they dive into lots of favorites, including Book Creator, and I've had the chance to use Book Creator with elementary school students this year using this special new feature of the teacher shared library. It is fantastic and something really special about Book Creator on Chrome. In addition to the teacher shared library, one thing that makes Book Creator so special in the elementary classroom is the ability to really elevate student voice. We're elevating student voice in lots of different ways through audio, capture, where students are recording their voice to make a button on their screen so everyone can tap and hear them speak, to video embeds, where students can use the camera tool to record a video or import video that they've created in another app or tool, the text tool, so they can type their responses, even using voice to text if that's enabled on their keyboard, and illustrations, where they can annotate a picture, draw on the page, or anything that they want to add to. The combination of all of this media is so special. It gives you the opportunity to differentiate in your classroom so students can see what you have, what your expectations are, and they can add whatever type of media needs to be used to show off their learning. So you might have some students who are recording audio on the page, others adding video, and even others with text and illustration. At the very bottom of the Add menu is the Record button. This is where students can capture their voice and create a button where if you tap on it, you will hear them speak. Now, if you are using a Chromebook, or any type of computer with a Chrome web browser, you've probably seen this happen before, that before a website allows you to record your voice, you might see a special message pop up. If that's the case, you'll say, yes, you can use my microphone, and it will record student voice. So the teacher shared library is an important place to start to get all of your elementary school students into Book Creator, and then you can focus on choosing which type of addition to a page will really help elevate student voice. You might focus entirely on recordings, combining that with illustrations, text, or pictures, or you might have a different type of balance depending on your group. Now, if you haven't been to Book Creator's website before, they have a fantastic blog full of classroom stories that go from K all the way to 12. So we'll start off today by spotlighting some of the different classroom stories you can see on the Book Creator blog. You'll notice that I put links to the blog post at the very bottom of the screenshot so you can read and find more about these stories before we dive into trying out some Book Creator tasks with our group on the webinar today. So this first spotlight comes from fellow Book Creator Ambassador and ADE Christy Musey. She's had her students app smash in her elementary school classroom. In this picture, you can see the app Geoboard from the Math Learning Center. Her students have used the text tool to add a title to their page, to add labels to their page, and have used the draw tool to point to different shapes on their screen. The next spotlight is with second graders who are capturing family histories in Book Creator. They're able not to search for family photos on Google, but to snap pictures of family photos that they have in a tangible paper printed format on their desk. Or of course, they have the option to upload a photo if they have it saved to a device, but snapping a picture and recording their voice. They can record their own voice narrating a story, or use the record feature as they're side by side with someone they're interviewing to add that audio to their page. The next blog spotlight shows off a first grade example where students are combining text, title, and images on the page to create a penguin book. Now, students who use Book Creator to show off their learning have lots of different options for creating and laying out their page with their information. You might have students add captions in text, add captions with the audio button to do a particular layout or to give them a special checklist as they go through. The possibilities are open-ended creation tool that lets you dive in and make that product your own. On the Book Creator blog, you'll also find a fantastic story of using Book Creator to help and support guided reading, where students open up a Book Creator book and are able to manipulate on the page to label different vocabulary words as they prepare for guided reading activity. And our final Book Creator blog spotlight, before we talk about some other activities together, is from a second and third grade science classroom where students are creating weather books using their pen tool to write, as you see on the screen here, as well as the text tool and the picture tool to tell the story of their learning. Now, we are going to jump into Book Creator together today so that as I share some ideas and say, try this out, you'll have Book Creator in another web browser. Remember, we're using it in Chrome web browser today, whether you're on a Chromebook or on a different device. So go ahead and head over to app.bookcreator.com. When you get there, you want to make sure to sign in as a teacher. It'll prompt you once you sign in as a teacher to set up a library that you can invite students to as well. So go ahead and get in there as I take a peek at the questions that have come in. I see someone asked a question about interactive notebooks. We're going to talk a little bit about interactive notebooks as well. I see a question came in about the web and the iPad version of Book Reader. We're focusing on the Chrome version today as our primary screenshots and examples. With the Chrome version, just like you're doing now, teachers can sign in and then students can sign in or use a QR code to join a teacher library. Right now, if your students are using Book Reader on iPads, there's a free version for one book and a paid version for multiple books. And in that case, your students can still publish their books online, but it won't be the teacher shared library that you'll see on Chrome. Awesome. Okay, I see a couple more questions coming in and we'll make sure to jump back to them. As I peek at those questions and answer some of them for you, make sure you're logged in and signed in to app.bookcreator.com. I'd like you to create a new book, and at the very top of your screen, I'm going to ask you to use that record feature we looked at before to add a quick audio recording to your page. Maybe you just say testing, testing, or hello, my name is. Tap on that record button. I'll show it to you here again. Tap on that record button at the top of the page and add your voice. And at the same time, I will peek at some questions that come through as you practice using the record feature. So as you're recording your voice, hopefully you might capture me as I'm talking too. I see a question came in about accessing the webinar and the content in the webinar. This is going to be recorded and hosted on Book Creator's YouTube channel. So you will be able to watch the webinar at any time, share it, pause it, rewind as well. I saw a question come in about sharing books that students have created. You can use the publish or share button at the bottom of the screen to share a book that someone else has created in your library. So that's absolutely an option as well. So I saw a question come in about accessing this toolbar at the top. Want to click on the button, that yellow button that says new book to make your new book, and then you'll be able to choose a size and access that button to record at the top. Great. So we'll keep moving through at the same time. Good. I see that you found it. The microphone, I saw another question come in. If it's built into your computer, it will use that microphone to capture and record your voice. So keep playing around with adding your voice to the page as we move through and share some activity ideas. So reading responses are a wonderful way to make the most of Book Creator. We're doing a whole webinar on reading responses later this summer, but at elementary classroom, students can write author poems, they can respond to a prompt that you've given, and use this as an everyday journal for reading responses. They can tap on the page, add their response based on the prompt or activity that you've given them, and keep adding a new page to their Book Creator journal, making it interactive every day. Another opportunity for students to use Book Creator in the classroom is to create animal profiles. With an animal profile, students can choose one animal, they can search for different pictures of the animal, and then add captions of what they learned at the bottom of the page. Now, this one does not have an audio button, so if your students were struggling to write sentences about an animal they've read about or researched, they could always use the audio feature to record their voice, as opposed to writing the sentences the way that you see it here on the page. So with Book Creator, to make animal profiles, students can combine images and audio. They can choose thematic colors and fonts that connect to their topic. Here's another example with polar bears, where students are able to bring in images that they've searched for and found, use a font, even the special dyslexia-friendly font that you see here. They can create shapes and layer that on top of one another, like the rectangle you see on top of the polar bear picture, and even place an audio button on their page. So animal profiles are a great elementary activity for students to read, to collect information, and then write to share their research findings. In addition to the reading responses or animal profiles, you might have students create writing journals where every day they are adding to their writing journal by adding an extra page to their book. This is perfect for do now activities when students are entering the classroom and you might have a prompt for them, or you might have a free writing opportunity for them as well. On their page, they can combine videos. They can combine images, they can combine audio, they can combine their text or illustrations, any type of media. If you use writing journals in your classroom, you know that sometimes it can be hard to peek in and see what everyone's writing about or give everyone's work the attention that you know it deserves. So if your students are using a shared Book Creator teacher library, they can each have their own writing journal, and in your library you can peek and see what students have created and monitor their progress over the course of the school year. In addition to having writing journals in your classroom, you might also leverage the comic feature that is so wonderful in Book Creator. If you didn't notice before, when you opened up Book Creator and chose a page for a new book, you have the option for portrait, landscape, or square for both a plain blank canvas as well as a comic book. So with the comic book feature, you can have students practice sequencing events, creating captions, curating images. The possibilities are endless. What's great about the comic feature is that if your students are reading graphic novels, they're used to this medium. The cells, like you see the 3 here on the page, are great for having kids think through the steps to solving a problem, to sequence their own writing. The comic feature is really powerful. You can see it here in this example as well, right? We're thinking about the sequence, captions, and the images that we can use. The students were waiting outside the school building, then everyone got on the bus. When the students arrived at the park, you won't believe what was waiting for them. So building some of that suspense like you often see in comic books. Now, by adding these components onto the page, you are able to have students decide the way that they're going to tell their story, pick and choose from different layouts. Really fantastic. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to bring it back to that animal activity on our quick list we just started with. And on your page, go ahead and hit that plus sign at the very top, and you're going to choose the import button. Now, you might not have selfies of yourself next to polar bears at the zoo, so instead, when you hit that import button, you're going to have the opportunity to search for a picture. So you'll be able to search for a picture of any animal, and then I'm going to ask you to label that animal with audio or text. So maybe you have a caption that you type in text, or you have a label that you add by recording your voice. While you do that, I'm going to take a peek at some of your questions coming through. So some of the questions coming through as you're adding a picture have to do with changing the text size. Yep, you can absolutely change the text size. You're going to want to tap on your text so it has that light blue box around it, and then you'll hit on the eye inspector button that you see here, and that's going to give you options to change the formatting of your text. Another question came in about using Book Creator as daily journals or a diary. You can absolutely do that. What will happen is you will log into Book Creator as a teacher, you will create a library, you'll invite students to join that library, and then you'll be able to see their books inside of it. I see another question coming in about the different types of books students can create with the free version. So as a teacher, we'll talk more about this before we finish up tonight. You can create your one library, and students can create 40 books in that library. So it might be 1 or 2 books a student that they are creating. Awesome. So in this way, another question came in about collaborative books. In this way, students are each making their own book, and then you can combine them if you want to. So you can combine pages to create a collaborative class book. So we're going to keep moving through, and I'll try and get back to some of the other questions that are popping in. So you can use the import tool to add pictures of an animal, label that animal with audio or text. Remember, the plus sign at the top of the screen lets you do all of those things like importing pictures or even snapping a picture in the moment. The I button is going to take whatever on your page is highlighted and give you the opportunity to inspect it and add some extra elements. In addition to the pieces we looked at so far, you can have students do vocabulary spotlights across any content area, combining images, words, and even audio if you like. With a vocabulary spotlight, students can put their big topic at the top of the page like you see here, find a picture that brings that piece to life, and then add all of the words that have to do with that topic to the bottom of the page. Now, if your students are making one page, it might look like this. If they are making multiple pages, this might be their title page, and then each page might focus on different words that have to do with the coral reef. So if you swipe and turn page to page, there might be one page all about algae, one page all about plankton, and so on and so forth as your students are able to spotlight vocabulary related to a particular topic. You might also have students collect facts as they research in a book creator book. So here's a page all about Harriet Tubman where there is 3 facts on the page. For each fact, you can tap, hear that fact that a student has collected by the recording of their voice that they've added to the page. This is perfect cross-curricular activities. You might create templates for students or have a checklist and say this is what needs to be on your page, title, picture, label, 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 and your 3 interesting facts. And it's also an opportunity for students to curate images. So in this case, like this Harriet Tubman example, your students might each be focusing on a notable figure from history and each making one page full of facts, and then those pages could be put together for a collaborative ebook. So we also can have students in the elementary classroom using text and images as part of their graphic organizers. So you see that black line on the page? That was created using the line tool. So the line tool is a shapes option where you can create and put lines on the page. So you might have a pre-made template that you distribute to students so that they are able to jump in, or you might give them a wider space to create their own graphic organizer. So here you see a big title on the page, two labels, as well as images that can pop up on each one. So in that question box, go ahead and type in a time or a moment. When do your students use graphic organizers? When are your students using graphic organizers in your classroom? Go ahead and type and share one of those moments onto the page, and I'll check in to see what other questions have come through. So when do your students use graphic organizers? I see some folks use them for brainstorming, for summarizing ideas, to help collect research, for planning stories, for pre-writing, to sort different ideas within one topic. Awesome. Question just came in about, can you reorganize pages? Yep. So when you're in your book, you'll see an option at the very top of the screen that you can tap on and move your pages in different orders, kind of like rearranging slides in a PowerPoint deck. Fantastic. So let's take a look now at some more types of graphic organizers, since it seems like there's lots of ways you're using graphic organizers in your classroom. You can use graphic organizers purely for audio, so having audio responses. If you're like me and you've ever distributed a Venn diagram for students and then your kids get worried that they won't be able to fit everything in those circles, well, this is one of my favorite examples. So here you can use the shape tool to create two circles that are intertwined. Then students can tap on each spot and use the audio tool to record their voice. That way they don't have to worry about squishing all their text into graphic organizers. So you can have students layer text on top of the shapes like you see at the very top to make their title, but then give them some different options for responding that might be different than just typing in or writing their response. You see another example here as well with this audio graphic organizer. Students can find a picture about different types of rock, label the rock, but then go into greater detail and record their voice as they talk about the different types of rocks and the characteristics that make them really special. So for something like this, you might have students set up their pages very similarly to their neighbors, everyone doing something very similar to the person next to them, or you might have them take a little bit more creativity, have a little bit more space as well as they are able to create those graphic organizers, record their voice, so it's all in one place. Now I want you to try it. I'm going to ask you to locate the shape tool and add some shapes to your page. Maybe it's circles that can be intertwined like our Venn diagram. Maybe it is a nice big orange rectangle like you saw on our rock page. To get to the shapes, you're going to hit the plus sign at the very top of the screen, but instead of choosing media, which is where we were adding our text and recording our voice before, try adding a shape to the page. Once you've added your shape, you can always click on the Eye Inspector button and change up some of the colors or the layering as well. So go ahead and try it. Locate the shape tool and add some shapes to your page as I take a peek at some questions that are coming through. Awesome. So as you're doing that, I'm looking at some of the questions. A question came in about searching for videos. So the import feature will let you search for images on Google, but it also Import lets you upload your own videos that you've created. So you're only searching for images, but you do have the opportunity to use that import button to add other types of media, like a video or like a audio file. A question came in about giving feedback to students. So you won't be adding comment boxes like you see in Google Docs, but you can add feedback using the audio tool so students can hear your voice. Great. I saw a question come in about deleting books from libraries. Yep, you can delete your book, and if you do it by accident, you can actually get it back within a certain time frame as well. All right, so let's keep moving through with some other examples that we have here. In addition to doing those graphic organizers, you can use Book Reader for students to collect questions that they have. So they might have a question on a particular topic that they could type out and tell you, or it might be a topic that they don't know how to, right, spell all the words or write sentences, depending on your K-4 level that you're working with. And they can use the audio tool to collect questions that they have about a topic. Of course, they could use the video tool or add text responses, but a question collection is a great way for students to have a regular book they can jump into and gather all the questions they have about a topic. If you have students doing something like this, it might be the first step to an inquiry project where they're then going off and exploring a topic a little bit deeper. So if your students are reading about a particular person, maybe a historical figure, they can collect their questions. This talk bubble you see here is an option in the shapes section. You might have seen it when you added a shape to your page, and it's definitely one of my favorites. Another idea for the elementary classroom is to have students create books that are field trip reflections. So you might have each student make one page and then use the combine tool to combine pages together for one class book. Or you might have students going on a nature walk or field trip with a device that lets them snap pictures. Then they can snap a whole bunch of pictures, maybe even record videos and reflect on a field trip. Now, a book like this could be shared in lots of different ways, but if you are going on a trip to every student or your whole class collaboratively make one book, and as they make that book, they know that they can share it as a thank you to wherever they visited, and that might be the authentic audience that they share their published work with. In that question box, our last question for today, as we move through some last pieces together, what special events do your students participate in during the school year? What are some events that your students participate in during the school year? Awesome. So some folks participate in a book fair, family literacy night, STEM activities, children's book visits, book week, excuse me, zoo visits, writing celebrations. So any of those types of activities can be documented in an ebook, just like the field trip reflection. And when you know that you're going to have a special day, someone just put in grandparents' day into the box, or author visits, right? You know that you can have an audience for your students' work using one of those people, right? So that authentic audience can be exactly the right fit for whoever it is that you want to share your student creations with. A few more things as we move down and finish up our time together today. You might have students have a journal for daily prompts like a do now, everyday responses, collaborative books. This is a page where students can document the weather for each day, drawing a sun like you see here with the pen tool, writing a sentence like today is very bright and sunny, giving a prediction for tomorrow's weather using the audio tool, and you can set this up in any way you dream for your students. Another fantastic way to use Book Creator in the elementary classroom is to have students annotate images. So this is an image of a flower. Students can use the arrow tool to point to different parts of a flower or whatever the picture might be, and then they can use the text tool to label pictures. In this case, we're labeling and annotating a picture. You might have some of your students who have a piece of text that they are able to underline, that they are able to draw arrows to, or annotate as well. So with the shape tool, you can see the arrow is one of the options. So I'm going to ask you, as you have your page open, go ahead and try adding an arrow to your page, maybe even change the color of it. Maybe you'll point to something that you made as well today. As you add that arrow to your page, I'm going to go ahead and take a peek and see what questions have come through. Okay, so here's our chance to talk about some of the things that you'll need to know to get started with Book Creator on Chrome. One of it has to do with the different pricing packages for using Book Creator. So when you are using Book Creator on Chrome, you can get started totally for free. You can make 40 books, and that can be spread across your class. There's different pricing tiers for students using or for classrooms, I should say, using Book Creator. So if you want to make 100 books, you want to make 1,000 books, there's different ways for you to upgrade. And that's really what's going to be the big difference between the free and the paid version on Chrome. It's just the amount of books that you can use. And you can find more information on that at Book Creator's website as you're making decisions. Or if you're in Book Creator right now playing along, you can hit that upgrade button and it'll give you more information on what the different special plans are for using Book Creator. Now we are just about out of time, so if I didn't get a chance to answer your questions, you can always send an email my way. We'll make sure to send out the recording to this webinar so you can share it with your network so everyone can see. We have more on the schedule. These are just the next three webinars coming up, one later this month in June, two more in July. If you're joining us by watching the recorded webinar on YouTube, you might also find these on the same YouTube channel if the date has passed. A couple things you may want to check out as well. Book Creator has some free ebooks. One is called 50 Ways to Use Book Creator in Your Classroom. The other is 15 Ways to Use Book Creator for Reading Responses, which is a book I wrote for the team at Book Creator. And you can find both of those on Book Creator's website. They are free downloads. So as you are jumping into using Book Creator this year, don't forget to head over to Facebook. Facebook.com/group/Book Creator is where you can find a group of folks who are excited about Book Creator in the classroom. But of course, you can connect with Book Creator on Twitter at Book Creator App or hashtag Book Creator. So thank you so much for joining us today. If you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I can't wait to see what you and your students create with Book Creator in the elementary classroom this year.